everyone. This is Justin Robinson, and I'm joined with my friend Matt Morishige.
Hello.
We are doing a commentary podcast on Star Wars. We have the original version as what came out in theaters in 1977, aka the unfucked with editions. So, I'm aware that not everyone will have these editions, so what we'll try to do is, this is a commentary podcast, so you can watch it along with us if you have the original editions. If not, we'll try our best to provide plenty of context for any scenes that we talk about or any specifics as we're going along. So, we'll try our best. I realize that the special editions are a little longer because they added shit that shouldn't have been in there in the first place. So, get it to timestamp 0 and press play when I say go. Matt, are you ready?
Yeah, totally.
All right. Press play right now. Now that Disney owns Lucasfilm, they probably won't have the 20th Century Fox opening behind it, would they?
That's super weird.
Because
that's an odd thing for me to think about.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's crazy.
I mean, Disney. I mean, we're not going to see the Disney logo in front of it because, like, the newest Marvel films that have come out under the Disney logo don't have Disney logo after it.
Yeah, they only have it after. Probably it would be like post credits, I think.
Yeah. Or like distributed by the Disney company or Disney whatever it is.
See, now I think this was like the coolest concept in the day with this whole upward scroll.
Yeah.
Giving us the context. It's super Greek theater and like even Shakespearean.
Yeah.
You know, like it's kind of like now is the winter of our discontent. You know, that opening gives you the context and you're like prepared for what's going to happen next.
Yeah, and
I really like that.
It's that it exists in its own thing. It's that, and it's a throwback to the old serials, which is this is completely an homage to, which is that's been talked to death about for everybody who's ever seen Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
I can't tell you how happy I am to see Star Wars and then have it go right to the opening title crawl without having to see A New Hope come on the screen.
Right.
Because this was not called A New Hope back in 1977. No. It was just Star Wars.
Yep. Speaking of homages with this movie, I'm sure people know about this, but Hidden Fortress by Akira Kurosawa, the movie that inspired this, is such a great film. If you guys haven't seen it, you should check it out. Especially the two characters who are supposed to be C-3PO and R2-D2. Their relationship and the humor in it is so great. I
completely forgot that you watched that. Now I'm so happy that I have you on the podcast.
No, seriously, I got my Kurosawa knowledge. And when we get some westerns in here, I'll talk about Kurosawa to death. Love that man.
This is coming out. This is one of my favorite shots of all time.
Definitely, I think one of the most important shots in film history. Just look at that. Like, could you imagine in 1974 seeing this ship come over and like blowing your mind? Just
not only does it blow your mind, but like, it works on a lot of... I mean, whoever has seen Plinkett's review of the prequels, that he explained the shot really well. Just like, this 5 or 10 seconds tells you everything you need to know about the story. Who the good guys are, who the bad guys are, how ill-equipped the rebels are, and how huge and powerful and reaching the Empire is.
Exactly.
And I love his joke, like, I'm pretty sure that this shot is so genius and so well thought out that I'm pretty sure George Lucas had nothing to do with it. He probably fought against putting it in the film.
Oh, George.
I have to, what, credit where credit is due. This movie, he directed this movie, he wrote this movie, even though, the script went through, other people came in and did rewrites and
yeah, exactly,
changed the final picture, but he did direct this, and I have to give him credit. This is a very well-directed movie.
It is a great directed movie. This is like when he was in his prime, This is like off of American Graffiti and like good shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, I've heard multiple stories of how this movie was saved in the editing process.
For sure, definitely. And I don't know, I could be wrong. You'll probably have to fact check me on this, but I know he didn't write. He just wrote the story. He didn't write the screenplay, right?
He wrote the story. I think he wrote the story. The credit has always been story by George Lucas.
Yeah,
and then other people came in and wrote the screenplay.
Was it Kasdan who did Jedi, or was
the guy who wrote the screenplay?
Yeah, that was Lawrence Kasdan. Was that?
I don't know off the top of my head.
I think that was Jedi. I'll have to fact check that. People who know probably know.
I'm pretty sure whoever can look up IMDb can just do it.
Do us a favor.
we're watching the movie. We're too busy to go on IMDb.
Not gonna lie, I was trying to do that earlier for the characters in Hidden Fortress. I couldn't remember their names. So just like the ones that are R2-D2 and C-3PO.
Yeah. But the reason George Lucas didn't direct and by the way, that's like that still bugs me. Like they're in the middle of a hallway with people shooting at each other, and they're able to walk through without any.
Oh, the droids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Without being hit, and here's one of the best villain introductions of all time.
Mm-hmm.
No words, just walks through the smoke.
That breathing
Just
is just
imagine,
so menacing too.
Yeah. Just imagine audiences in 1977. What would you think if some dude dressed in all black with a mechanical robot mask comes out of the mist and has that breathing, and you're just like, what the fuck is that?
Then you're just like, oh, hold up. I'm waiting for the shot. Is that Debbie Reynolds' daughter? Oh my god, it is.
What?
I'd be like crazy. Debbie Reynolds. People would have gone that in that decade.
Okay.
Justin.
Alright. Yeah, I'm not well cultured.
Debbie Reynolds. She was in Singing in the Rain.
Oh, okay, now I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
I just didn't know her by name.
That's Carrie Fisher's mom.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. What I was saying about George Lucas is, this movie is famous for having so many problems in production as they shot it, and George Lucas chose not to direct episode 5 and 6 because of how many problems he had with it.
Mm-hmm.
And man, that was the last best decision he ever made. But I'm pretty sure people have noticed, but Carrie Fisher, only in this movie, I think she got more comfortable in the role after or during Empire and Jedi.
Oh, you mean the muddled accent?
The muddled accent, yeah. She'll have it here and there.
Yeah.
And and it goes in and out. And it took me a couple of times watching this to actually notice it. Because she has it when she's talking to Tarkin and to Darth Vader and all that. But
definitely when she's talking to them.
I think it only comes out when she's talking to British people.
Mm-hmm. And I think it's just, the smart thing was the decisions later to get, when she decided to get rid of them, just being more comfortable in her own skin. Because it did seem a little affected.
Yeah.
More than an actual, true, honest character choice.
Mm-hmm. And I think that, out of all the people cast and who are, acting in this movie, she's the most, not comfortable. Even though she gives a good performance.
No,
but I think she was not as comfortable as Harrison Ford or Mark Hamill. Or...
No, because Harrison Ford was that character of the day. I think. That
they
finally, after everyone else, although I would still like to see Al Pacino play Han Solo.
I think he's a little old now.
Just knowing that was an option.
Was it an option?
Yeah. He was
Really?
They tried to cast everyone but Harrison Ford. Al Pacino was up for it.
That's right. Yep.
Yeah. If you guys don't know, I love Al Pacino more than life, probably. Al Pacino and Kurosawa, I'll just talk about them this entire movie.
It's fine with me.
Not very helpful.
I want to address something just because Stormtroopers
Muddled
are on
accent in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Yeah.
There it is.
And or just because Stormtroopers are on the screen right now, and it reminded me, everyone complains about their armor, more about the fact about how they hit nothing throughout this whole trilogy. But the thing that I've always thought about is that I've never seen it as really armor per se, because it's always just looked like a uniform to me. Like a futuristic kind of uniform.
Yeah, I could agree with that. And it doesn't really look like it's armor. I mean, it looks like it's armor, but I don't look at it that way.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, a couple of rocks being thrown by little Ewoks might not... I mean, yeah, whatever. We'll get to that.
We'll get to that later. This is Star Wars.
Let's just worry about this one. What I've always nitpicked about is that, James Earl Jones has one of the best voices in Hollywood history. But what I want to know is why he's British. I want to know why he does a slightly English accent when Mark Hamill just completely has a very plain American accent.
I can understand. I think this was still kind of that, we still have it now, kind of the same with that any, kind of noble character or character in power, especially if it's, a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, they're always British.
Yeah. But you know what I just realized that fixes it?
Huh.
Darth Vader could be British, but Mark Hamill didn't grow up with his father. He grew up with farmers who
I don't think
have an American accent.
Accents aren't inherited.
Yeah.
Nice way to get yourself. And also, James. We're on a first name basis. Yeah. We text.
Yeah.
No, but James Earl Jones, he's a theater guy too, and like him, it's kind of like I always think of it kind of as like a Richard III or the Othello kind of character with Darth Vader, kind of that really tragic hero who does all this terrible stuff because of the things he's gone through in the past. Like I could see a lot of parallels there, mostly with Richard III, and it's just like really kind of like I think that may have been the choice he might have been thinking of.
Yeah.
Because I've seen him do some readings of Shakespeare and stuff, and now he's so comfortable with his voice because it's his voice. Everyone wants to hear it like that.
Yeah.
But I'm sure as he was like starting out, he was probably affected by that too. Some of those other performances.
And he didn't want to be credited for this movie either. Yeah. He's uncredited, and that's by his choice because he didn't want to be typecast.
Probably super smart.
Yeah.
Loved him in Field of Dreams. Super random. Field of Dreams. Go watch it if you haven't seen it, people.
Which includes me because I haven't seen it.
It was mostly pointed at you. I don't want to say anything.
Yeah, I know.
Honestly, I love how they did this relationship between R2-D2 and C-3PO in the film too, because it's like one of the most human relationships between non-humanoid characters.
That is so true.
The relationship is so in there, and like even it's so funny because Anthony Daniels has such witty dialogue, and just like R2-D2 has bleeps and bloops, but
yeah,
you can still it's a solid relationship, solid character building with like characters that people are usually afraid to work with because like they feel that the audience can't connect.
Mm-hmm.
I can't help but watch this shit and always think of Spaceballs and the Comb the Desert.
Oh, yeah.
Justin's not a Mel Brooks fan.
I'm not a Mel Brooks fan. He's just he's just not my cup of tea. There's a couple funny moments in Spaceballs. I mean, there's a couple moments. Most of it is just like, really?
Yeah.
Like I could come up with something that was
it's super campy and cheesy.
Yeah. I mean, the really long spaceship in the beginning is funny.
Yeah.
And the Comb the Desert thing was funny.
I love that part. Oh, got some Jawas.
There have been so many like people who have pointed out things, and then because this film or these this is so huge and permeated in pop culture that so many people have come out and found a bunch of ways to defend any criticism. Mm-hmm. Because like the Jawas are obviously like they put their face in shadow, but they have eyes that light up, and sometimes you can see that they're clearly just light bulbs.
Yeah.
But I've heard defenses about like, well, they lived on this planet, and their culture or their species has probably evolved into their eyes looking like light bulbs, but they're not really light bulbs. They just have the appearance of light bulbs.
See, that's like a bad like justification for someone nitpicking. Like, personally, I'm like, okay, they look like light bulbs, but it's a fantasy movie. Like, suspend your disbelief for a second, people. Yeah. But then trying to justify that, like, I don't know if I would agree with that. I'd just be like, yeah, they're light bulbs. It's a movie deal.
And this movie didn't have a huge budget, especially, even for 1977. It had, like, a couple of $1 million, maybe?
I think I said 1974 earlier. I may have fucked up. Oh, well. 1977, whatever year it is.
Can I count on you for anything?
Nah, I have one job. All right, I'm leaving.
Anyway. Like, especially for a movie that was made for as little money as it is, it does not look like a cheap film.
Definitely not. And it holds up. That's the beauty of this film.
Even the original holds up.
That's what I'm saying. No, I mean, it holds up regardless of, like, the tinkering. Especially regardless of the tinkering.
Yeah.
It holds up so well. And that's because, like, the effects, it's not even... the effects still kind of hold up well, especially the ship holds up pretty well. And even more than, like, the CGI ships you see, like, now.
Those look worse than the original effects they used.
That's what I'm saying. And so, like, it holds up, but I think the movie... The point of this movie is it has a lot of heart.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what it boils down to. This film is so timeless.
And that's why I think
I'll always love it.
So many people connected with it.
And that's why I keep giving George Lucas my fucking money. Well, not really anymore. I guess J.J. Abrams is going to be pocketing. I'm sure he gets some royalties or some...
But J.J. Abrams has probably spent his life giving George Lucas his money, too.
That's true.
I mean, this is the first time we've had a Star Wars movie directed by a fan. Because J.J. Abrams loves Star Wars.
I mean... What's not to love?
Well, I mean... the later editions and the prequels.
Oh yeah, the prequels.
Those I don't love.
I don't love
to put it lightly.
I don't want to bore them as most people. I think for me it's just I have too much sentiment. I'm too nostalgic. I'm just like, yeah.
Well, yeah, Phantom Menace is nostalgic to me too, but that doesn't mean I can still recognize it. It's not a
no,
it's
definitely.
Not a
I'm not like this is high art, but I'm definitely like.
I mean, Inspector Gadget is nostalgic, but I'm not going to say that that's an Oscar-worthy movie.
What are you talking about? They were snubbed. Matthew Broderick, Best Actor.
Oh. Yeah.
Poor Matthew Broderick.
Every time, well, maybe not every
Sorry,
time.
never thought I'd be talking about Matthew Broderick today.
It's like when I really started appreciating the original trilogy and watching it a lot, but like when I was younger, I always forgot how much time we spend with R2-D2 and C-3PO before we even ever meet Luke Skywalker.
Yeah.
We're 15 minutes in, and the only characters we've met are Leia, Darth Vader, and the robots.
Right. Well, that's true for, that kind of stays true to his inspiration. I'll go off that because in the Hidden Fortress, it's even though they're not C-3PO and R2-D2, but it's a C-3PO R2-D2 story. Yeah. They're these two peasants and going there, and all you know is there's like this evil clan that they're trying to escape from, and you don't meet most likely Toshiro Mifune is probably more of the Han Solo character, but you don't meet him till later. Mm-hmm. And you don't meet the princess till way later.
Really?
The one they're trying to save, yeah. So, because they're trying to keep that low-key, just like in this movie that you don't know she's a princess.
Yeah.
Like, you kind of see her character in just like this random girl, but it's definitely the C-3PO R2-D2 story. Mm. I need to look up their names for next time we do something just to clarify. Yeah, we could turn up the volume a bit.
A little bit, just in case we need to hear any dialogue.
Yeah. And I'll start getting louder as I'm getting more excited. That's what she said.
Nice.
Thanks.
Nice of them.
This is fucking stupid.
God bless John Williams.
Honestly.
95% of this movie has score behind it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just as good as when there's,
Honestly, I'd go so bold as to say if he didn't have this score, it wouldn't be as much of an enduring piece of cinema as it is.
Uh-huh.
Because it's that first impact. The first impact in that first orchestral kind of piece that... Yeah. Like, that hits you, like, right in your gut. Mm-hmm. And it's great. You get chills. I still get chills. Oh, this is just a beautiful piece, too.
Oh, yeah.
It's so just floaty and kind of...
Mm-hmm.
Mark Hamill was such a good choice.
Oh, yeah.
Such a great casting choice. And even so, like, I mean, I'm not going to say Mark Hamill's not a good actor, because he is. He's a very good actor, especially a voice actor.
Oh,
for
yeah.
Sure.
One of my favorites.
He can do characters very well. He understands character. But almost like with this, I've seen Mark Hamill as Luke Skywalker, and I can see the Mark Hamill-ness or the Mark Hamill-ness. But that's not a bad thing. That's just because that's good casting. Like, he's just right for the part.
That's how George Lucas has cast most of his... Or not most, because he, only did like 2 back in 77. But that's the way he liked to cast movies, because...
And that's how most movies are cast.
Yeah, that's true. But Mark Hamill has even said this in interviews. Like, George Lucas is famous for not being an actor's director. And George Lucas has even admitted that. So when he casts people in his movies, he liked to do it as close to the character as possible.
Right.
So he didn't have to do as much directing because they were already, almost there to what he wanted anyway.
Yeah. Gosh, Mark Hamill's nose in this movie, poor guy.
What's with his nose?
He was in a car accident. That's why his nose is all fucked up in other movies.
I thought that happened before Jedi.
No, that's what I'm saying. His nose looks so different here.
Oh.
I'm saying it looks normal right now.
Okay. Well, you said, his nose, poor guy.
No, that's what I'm saying. Sorry, I need to clarify. It looks, people watching, it looks like a nose. No, I'm kidding. His nose still looks like a nose. It's just a little fucked up. Enough about Mark Hamill's nose.
We have now gotten into the really insightful stuff, you guys.
This is important.
Mark Hamill's nose looks like a nose.
Yes.
Just profound.
That's how you connect with the character. Oh, man. I'll never be able to do one of these again.
You could just see the not only does Luke's character have an arc between this and Jedi, but his nose also has one.
Solid. Okay, so the story.
Yeah.
Oh,
Speaking of arcs, that was an unintentional segue. So anyway, speaking of arcs, pretty much every main character has an arc starting from here and ending in Jedi, right? And even Darth Vader too. Every main character.
I would argue Darth Vader's the biggest.
Darth Vader's the biggest, but one of my favorite things is seeing the end of Empire, then going straight into Jedi, because when I watch these, I watch them back to back to back. And seeing Luke walk into Jabba's palace in like the black cloak with the thing over his head and just looking all awesome and badass, right? And just like, wow. It's like from where the character started to where he is now is like it just makes me happy. I don't have anything insightful to say about it. It's just cool. But like, and then Leia comes more into her own character. Han Solo learns, and then of course Darth Vader. But that's one of the things where I think that Lucas really doesn't understand Star Wars, because I'm pretty sure whoever's watched Jedi has seen the special edition, and has seen what's his face from the prequels, Hayden Christensen, as a ghost at the end of Jedi. And when questioned about it, George Lucas has said, well, like they asked him, George, why is Anakin there, but Obi-Wan is the old ghost? Like, why is Obi-Wan as old as he was in the original trilogy? And George Lucas said, well, that's the last time that Vader was good. It's like, well,
that's
no.
a pretty bad justification.
He completed his character arc when he hauled the Emperor's ass over the railing.
But 1 second though, yeah, that's true. But this scene, such a cool scene.
Yeah.
Not much more to say, but just because it's so classic, I just think we should address it. I love how they did this, like how they pulled this off with that little message. He like knows nothing about her, and she's kind of like this figure, and that's like kind of what it is already to him. He's kind of like an enigma fantasy.
Yeah.
Which is kind of weird because it's his sister, but
yeah, we'll get to that later in Empire, I guess.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, Lucas doesn't understand Star Wars. That's my opinion. Because
I know a lot of people would agree with you.
Just like ever since Jedi came out, Darth Vader's story has gone down as one of the best redemption stories that's ever been put to film. And he didn't understand that, and he's the one who wrote the story. Like, it confuses me.
Yeah, it's odd. Well, you lose sight. You can lose sight. I'm not saying it's necessarily, but you definitely can, especially since it exploded like it did.
Yeah, but he was always a director who wanted to, go against the system and have complete or as much creative control as he could, which he didn't have full creative control back in 1977. Or in 83, honestly.
Right.
I mean, the time the whole trilogy was made, he didn't have full creative control. He still had people who could say no to him, which I think is something that he really needs in order to make great stuff. But, like, what was the point I was going to make?
The thing is, what I think it really depends on directors, because sometimes there's a thing where meddling can do too much. And knowing George Lucas, like, he was hanging with Coppola. And Coppola's a guy who needed people to loosen up the reins. Like, he's an artist who needs less creative control. But I think...
But there are some directors who can handle that, and some who can't.
Right, that's what I'm saying. For all you wrestling fans, this reference may completely go over people's heads, but I'm really hoping there's some... In the Venn diagram of Star Wars fans and wrestling fans, there's a little bit of overlap. I just want to say that I feel like George Lucas is the Vince Russo of filmmaking. Now, some explanation. Vince Russo was the guy who went to WCW and wrote a lot of creative stuff for WWE, and then Vince McMahon helped him out to weed out his good ideas from his bad, and then when he had full creative control, he drove that company into the ground. And that's what I'm saying that George Lucas did. Once he got full creative control, he took his own company and all the good shit that he did, and when it wasn't filtered and it was just a bunch of crazy stuff, then it kind of fell apart and collapsed under his own ambition. Yeah. Hopefully someone gets that.
Hopefully. Well, someone who's not me. By the way, Aunt, what's the aunt's name? Baru?
Yeah.
her voice was completely dubbed over.
Really?
Mm-hmm. They completely redubbed her. I don't remember why. I don't remember the reason, but her voice, the actress who plays her, the voice you hear is not her voice.
That's odd. Do you know why?
I don't remember the reason.
That's very odd. Let's try to see if we can...
It's really well edited.
I was going to say, I would have never known that if you hadn't told me.
See, the thing that I like about this movie is how it handles telling the audience what characters want.
Exactly.
And people, everybody's a critic now, and people complain about movies like, oh, it's just exposition.
It's
and
too in your face.
Yeah,
see, now that you said so, it's really well edited, but now that you say something, like, I can kind of see it.
Yeah.
But it is really well edited and really well acted on both sides, especially the voice actor and the actual actor. Just, knowing Luke's goals, there's so many layers to this film. But first off, this amazing shot, before we get back to the layers. Remind me about the layers later, but this shot is just gorgeous.
And the music.
Yes. It just, the 2 moons is just like...
But Luke is one of those characters who will tell you what he wants and what his motivations are, because that's just that's the character that he's built as.
Yeah.
Right here, he's just a simple guy who wants to go to college because his friends are going to college.
Yeah. Exactly.
And if that's what we wanted, we would have that conversation with our dad or with our uncle or guardian or whoever's
of course,
the authority figure, because that's what normal people do.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just it's a nice character-driven way to give the audience exposition.
Yeah, and honestly, it builds up that whole relationship for when we're devastated when they're gone later.
Yeah.
Because, we all have those moments like, where we're always at each other's throat, or like, if like we could have said something, that's kind of a trope now. Like it kind of always ends that way, like you're not on the best terms and then something bad happens.
Yeah.
But it's a good motivation and build up for the character, honestly. And people who complain about exposition, it's like,
stop
exposition's like, why would anything matter without exposition?
Exactly. I mean, sometimes it can be clunky. Like, yeah, I agree, but sometimes you just can't go around it.
Yeah, I mean,
like I've heard people throw flack at Inception for that. I'm just like, really? Do you really? That's the only thing you have to complain about a movie like that?
Yeah, for a complex structure like that, you need some exposition too. Otherwise, you'll be so lost. But yeah, and see, I love how this initial part is that we see something so epic in Space Odyssey. Like space epic, like space opera at the beginning in this fantasy world and all this technology and everything, and then we get to Tatooine and it's just like homely.
It's just grounded.
Yeah.
Grounded with a person who we can relate, who the audience can relate to.
So we know what's happening, like as a whole, the big picture stuff.
And he's never really experienced the grand scale of what was set up in the beginning, so that gives the audience a way to experience it for the first time with him.
Mm-hmm. And it's really interesting class dimension, too.
See, look, that's a great practical effect right there.
Yeah, that's a really
So is the hover thing. The speeder.
Yeah.
It makes me angry, all the special edition stuff that they put back in and replacing stuff with CGI. Because the effects that they used were, like, they look good, especially for 1977.
They look really great, yeah.
But like, let the thing stand as a product of its time.
Or, as I would say, if you want to make your changes, directors love to do that, and I don't mind. Just like have it as an option to choose from. If like someone wants to purchase it, have the original as an option too. Yeah. Don't just like forget that the originals happened, because they're such a big part of people's lives. Let people make the choice. I say.
Yeah.
I have no problem with you taking your something, because you do have a right to take your work and do something with it, but don't.
But you don't have the right to completely take it away.
Yeah, exactly. You can't just expunge.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, here's one of the most annoying things. Okay, in our version, we just saw R2-D2 hiding in the rocks. There's nothing in front of him. He's hiding from the
Tusken Raiders.
Tusken Raiders, thank you.
You're welcome.
In the special edition, they CGI'd more rocks in front of him.
Why did he need more rocks?
I don't know.
Maybe is it just because like, oh, they could have seen him or something?
Yeah, but they put the rock, it's such a huge CGI rock they put there, but then it loses the practicality because how the hell did R2-D2 get there?
Oh yeah.
How did he get
Something
in?
to think about. I bet people freaked out when they saw that this was Sir Alec Guinness.
Oh yeah, probably. And Alec Guinness, I mean,
Unless
wish,
it was in the trailer or something, but still.
Yeah, I wish that I've seen him in more things, but I know how like great and high esteemed Alec Guinness is.
Lawrence of Arabia, Bridge on the River Kwai.
Yeah, he to me has the same ability that Marlon Brando has, to which he can phone in a performance and have it still be great.
Yeah.
Like Alec Guinness did not like these movies at all.
Mm-hmm.
Like he would be on set, and he would be complaining about having to say this strange and jibber jabber dialogue because he hated it. It was all nonsense to him.
Well, that's another thing too. I'm glad he followed through because that would have been the best choice. But that's kind of the same thing that happened with, I believe it was Sean Connery and Sir Ian McKellen with The Lord of the Rings. They offered it to Sean Connery, and he read the script and was like, I don't understand any of this. And I was like, okay. And so he just passed on, and then we got Sir Ian McKellen to play Gandalf, which is like, I can't imagine it any other way. But it's kind of those things that just happen, I'm glad he took a chance on it. I'm glad Alec Guinness did. But stuff like that happens all the time where you're like, why would I say this? I don't know what this means.
Yeah. And I've heard stories from Mark Hamill and Harrison Ford, like they would love to goof around on set and just play pranks and whatnot, and then anytime Sir Alec Guinness was on set, they would like stop doing that and like correct their behavior and be all respectful and professional, yeah. It's just you have talent, or somebody has talent when a phoned-in performance is one of the most iconic performances in pop culture.
Yeah, I mean, it's just great. Alec Guinness is the man. I think it gave this movie more credibility too, for sure.
Oh yeah, same thing with Marlon Brando and Superman.
Yeah.
Which was also a phoned-in performance.
Mm-hmm. Some of those great people in the stage tradition just have a presence.
Oh yeah.
Which, if they're lucky, translates on screen, and for Alec and for Marlon Brando, it definitely does. Oh no, more exposition!
Yeah!
Oh jeez.
And there's the mention of the Clone Wars, which I don't know what, like, why make such an iconic, not iconic, but like, such a unique kind of name for a thing, and then, when he was making the prequels, just like, oh, they mentioned the Clone Wars, now I gotta do some Clone Wars.
Yeah. And
there's the thing, again, I'm going to reference the Plinkett reviews because, one, they're amazing, two, he makes a lot of good points, Red Letter Media, but, he was just talking about, Obi-Wan was just talking about his friendship with Anakin, and he was like, he was the best Star Pilot in the galaxy, and he was like, and he was a good friend. Like, I don't see that in the prequels.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see their friendship at all.
No, definitely.
And if the prequels are to be treated as canon of things that really happened before these movies, which I don't like to think of them like that. I think that
I don't like to, but I accept it.
I mean, they're best ignored.
They're canon. They're canon. They have to be.
Yeah, but if they're to be treated as such, then those things now are what's informing Obi-Wan now to say that Annie was a good friend. Like,
right.
I'm sorry, but you did not do a good job showing or explaining that.
Yeah. I think the bad thing is that how they made Anakin so whiny, if the relationship that they had became more of a father-son than a friend thing. More of like trying to keep a bad kid in line, you know?
Yeah.
That's what it came more out to be.
Because, I mean, God bless Ewan McGregor.
For sure.
Because he's the best thing about the prequels.
Ooh, sorry. Hold on. He is. But this is... I think this is great exposition. This Vader was consumed by the dark side of the Force.
Yeah.
And that shot, it reminds me, especially that shot, even though it's a cut, not really like a dolly zoom, but it reminds me a lot of kind of John Ford Western. I see a lot of John Ford and Kurosawa in this movie all the time. And that zoom in on that part, it's not a zoom in, it's a cut, I think. I missed it.
Close-up.
It's just a close-up, yeah. But there's this dolly shot in The Searchers, too, where they zoom in on John Wayne and he just has this face in, like, these key moments. And, like, this setup is exactly almost like that house in The Searchers. And then that scene reminds me so much of that tradition. Like those old serials.
Mm-hmm.
Like, in that Western and, like, samurai tradition even, too, from Kurosawa.
And then, like...
And people think that's hokey now, but I think it still has a place.
Oh, yeah, I do, too. I don't think... Yeah. Everyone's a critic.
Yeah, everyone's a critic.
But, like... I guess...
We're such hypocrites.
Yeah, pretty much. I can't defend that. But anyway, like, I guess, I mean, there's lists and lists of problems that people have and that I have with the prequels, but I guess the best thing is that the thing that Obi-Wan just said was like, Vader was seduced by the dark side of the Force. Great. That's all I need. Oh, that happened. Great. Now we have this story. It's like, did they really need to tell us how that happened when we know it happened?
Right.
And the thing that I like about this is that Darth Vader is a cog in a huge machine. He's not the most powerful person in the galaxy. He works for the most powerful person in the galaxy. Well, as of right now, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, he's not... I mean, Mr. Plinkett makes a good point. He's not Space Jesus.
Right.
I think... you know what? Let's stop talking about the prequels.
Yeah, I know.
It's ruining this movie.
I was going to say, it's a whole other thing.
It's... As much as I don't want it to be, it's kind of tainted it. Tainted this original trilogy.
I don't know about that. I can separate, I feel like. I think that's just what people need to do. But it's difficult.
Yeah. This guy is such a douchebag.
Such
a stuck-up douche.
They're all mega pretentious. This guy
For
looks
those not
Kevin
watching,
Spacey.
For those not watching the movie, it's the scene. Well, it's the scene where coming up, it's the guy who's just like the guy who tells Darth Vader that his belief in that ancient religion is something, and then the famous like, I find your lack of faith disturbing. That's where we are.
Basically, Fool gets his ass checked out.
Yeah, we're talking about the Fool. The scene with the Fool. And Grand Moff Tarkin, who looks like he has a skull for a face.
Pretty skilled. I just can't stop thinking of, like, Kevin Spacey, though. There's this one dude who's talking who kind of looks like...
For which one?
Kevin Spacey.
The Fool?
No, not the Fool. The guy with the kind of bowl cut with the sideburns. It reminds me of him in...
I needed to cut back to him then.
I like how they set this up. It's almost like a business conference room.
Yeah.
It's such a structure. It's even less politics, but it's almost more business. It's very calculated. And like, let's make our business strategy. So here's our fiscal employment, like put up a calendar.
I think we should destroy a planet.
Here's my PowerPoint on blowing up Alderaan. What do you guys
Pros
think?
and cons?
Oh shit, how does this work again? Your lack of faith disturbing. So cool.
Oh, so great. See, that's another thing I like about Darth Vader. He's this ultimate badass, and you know almost nothing about him, but he still has to take orders from higher ranked generals and people who are above him. Mm-hmm. He's not the dude who sits on a throne and orders people around. He's the dude who takes orders from the guy, but he's the top-ranking guy who takes orders, and he goes in to wherever he goes personally and gets shit done.
Yeah, he's the muscle.
He's the muscle.
But more than that, too. He has, like, an intellect.
Yeah.
But
he's a thinking muscle.
Definitely, yeah, for sure. Oh, this is devastating. what's coming up. Right now, this is the Jawas.
Yeah, they just came across the Jawa slaughter.
Yeah.
I never noticed that. He said that these shots were too accurate for sand people. They must have been made by stormtroopers.
No, yeah, and then
but
they
the
missed
stormtroopers
everyone.
have the worst aim in the galaxy.
I know, that's a huge criticism. You always have, like, really? By Imperial stormtroopers?
What
Who
gave you
can't
that
shoot Han
idea?
Solo in a hallway?
Family Guy made a great joke where I think it was their Empire parody when they were shooting at the Millennium Falcon as it drove away from the Cloud City, and one of the stormtroopers is like, "Do we ever even hit anything with these?" And the other guy's like, "I hit a bird once."
Oh,
it's a horrible scene.
yeah, that's a horrible scene. We're pulling up to Uncle Owen and Aunt
the
Beru's house.
burned down place.
Again, I'm gonna reference the Searchers. This is done almost exactly like the Searchers, except for the fact that you see the skeletons.
Oh, I always forget we see the burning bodies.
Yeah. In fact, this is what changed the rating to PG.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, it was G until this point.
Mm.
Which is like, I feel like now if you had skeletons movies,
It's
like the
done.
MPAA would be like,
Whatever.
like I feel like they would probably. No, I'm saying I think they would take it further. I feel like censorship goes so far now, or like
Really?
parental guides. I feel like yeah, skeleton in a movie. Well, it depends, I guess. They didn't have PG-13, did they? No, yeah, they did.
No, they didn't have PG-13 until I forget which Spielberg movie that made a PG-13, but Spielberg
Oh, was it
Spielberg
Raiders?
created the PG-13.
because of the melting thing?
No, Raiders is actually PG.
Oh, I don't know.
I think so. I'm pretty sure.
No, I think so too. You're right. This thing is
Might have
so
been
creepy.
Jaws. No, Jaws is PG.
I don't know what happened.
Which this cut is super ominous.
Yeah.
It's like close up with the needle,
And then just
Turn
close
face,
to Darth Vader.
then,
And
close the door and camera turns down.
I love that. I will always opt for not seeing what happens.
That's a classic. I mean, horror directors and suspense directors, Hitchcock in general, said that that's the best way. Your imagination is always scarier
yeah.
than anything I can show you.
Exactly. That's where the word obscene comes from, actually. Off scene, like off scene. It comes from Greek theater.
Well then,
Yeah. So like the gruesome stuff happens when you can't see it.
I did not know that.
Yeah. Wow, there are going to be some insightful things
Yeah.
I actually say today besides stuff about Mark Hamill's nose. There it is again.
Yep, his nose is on screen, along with the rest of them.
Oh my god. This can't become like a gag. Like
It probably will.
dear God.
But I think Mark Hamill is good. I think that he definitely gets better with Empire and Jedi. I think that he's definitely he's more comfortable than I think Carrie Fisher is, but he's still there's some parts where it's like not the best, but definitely not the worst. I mean this was that's a little iffy. But here, look, this is okay. So they're driving into Mos Eisley, and I like this because
where's the
Tatooine,
fucking giant dinosaur?
Yeah, where's the like they made a new establishing shot of them driving in.
I know.
It's like, why is that necessary? Which, by the way, is such an iconic scene right here.
Right. What you looking for? Oh.
So famous.
So cool.
I was gonna complain about the special editions, but you already know they changed it. It sucks. Let's move on.
Yeah.
We'll get to the worst change with this movie in a couple of minutes.
Oh God.
So we'll get to it. We'll get to it. But
we could talk about that probably till this.
Oh God, we could probably talk. Yeah.
But we'll try our best.
I just like the way this was originally introduced. Like Tatooine is like, the shit corner of the galaxy, right? No one wants to live on Tatooine. It's a huge desert. So why would it make sense for them to have a gigantic spaceport that's full of all of these different things? They go to the bar, or the Mos Eisley, the Mos Eisley bar, or the
Cantina.
the cantina. Thank you. That's the word I was looking for.
You got you.
There's a couple aliens in there, but they're all like run of the mill kind of like.
Holy shit! I think we're seeing like the original outline for that CG dinosaur that they had later.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, but it was in practical effect.
It was probably one of the most famous space bar scenes ever. Which that's a really like
fucking werewolf.
One of the most famous scenes ever. Like this whole scene.
Yeah, no, this is just a great scene because it shows you the seedy underbelly of it too.
There's so much.
There's so much intrigue.
Yeah, there's a lot of people here. It's like it's a known like spaceport, but it's really seedy and sketchy and run of the mill. You know,
it's very dank. It's kind of like in noirs where they go to like find their informers and stuff.
Yeah,
like the kind of tough, no nonsense cop. Like, hey, what's going down? That was awful. But you know what I mean. Wow, spacism.
Yep, spacism. Or would it be like robotism?
I don't know.
Roboism?
I just said spacism because it rhymes with racism.
Let's do that. It makes it better. This guy's got a big nose.
This dude really is like mega spacist.
Yeah. Which all these are practical effects, makeup and costumes, and it all looks good. It still looks good.
It's just like you can still watch Princess Bride and enjoy it with the practical effects.
Yeah.
And it's a backdrop, but it doesn't take away from it because there's so much energy put into the performances.
Yeah. And one of the best practical effects that this series has.
Ass face.
Ass face.
And then another fucked up nose.
Yeah. His that was overdubbed. Maybe it's because it's like an alien thing, but his mouth didn't match up. Yeah.
You'll be dead.
Which it's also weird. Like Obi-Wan's like, oh, gotta cut off another guy's arm.
Yeah.
Did this a couple years ago. Can't believe I'm doing it again. Damn it. Second time I've done that. Never thought I would cut off two guys' arms in a bar. Stupid.
I love how they just go, wow, I think this is the introduction of vape.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
We're noticing new things all the time. Which
the
it shows
smoking
you,
of the future.
Yeah. It also shows you how dank and seedy this thing is because that thing... So, things like that, like cutting off people's arm, probably happens all the time in there.
Oh yeah, totally.
Probably something
it was just so nonchalant. They were like, oh yeah.
Like, oh yeah.
Let's just play the same song. Oh, it's actually
Alright,
a
what
song
should we play next? Same song! Oh, same song, okay.
And Han Solo.
Biggest badass in the galaxy. Yeah. Let's say that again. He's a badass.
He is a badass.
He's a rebel.
And he wears a vest.
Like a badass.
Yeah, how do you pull that off? He's wearing a fucking
You gotta be Harrison Ford. Which, by the way, he says... Harrison Ford says, or I guess Han Solo says, how fast his ship goes, and he says parsecs. And I'm like, oh, that's a cool... It sounds like it could be a real thing, you know?
Yeah.
But I guess it's just like Star Wars talk. But no, recently, a couple weeks ago, I just found out that parsec is actually a real
it is.
quantity of distance used in the real world.
Yeah. I know, I found that out. And there was some issue with it, I can't remember what he says. It's not distance or speed or something, or not speed, it's distance.
In under 12 parsecs. He said something under 12 parsecs.
Yeah, and I think it's a measure of distance, not speed.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to make a connection that some people might enjoy and get, I'm sure, if they're listening to this. Here, Obi-Wan kind of reminds me of the shepherd from Firefly. Because, he's this old, wise kind of sage, but he knows all this stuff. He knows how to haggle.
Yeah.
And he's and we don't get much about that. And, the prequels don't touch on it a ton.
No, we don't get much about his backstory, but the things that he does make him...
Yeah. And it's just like that. We never get the shepherd's backstory either. It reminds me of that a lot.
Yeah.
because he's so worldly and kind of like,
Yeah.
but he's also like been living in a cave for like forever.
Which I'll talk about Obi-Wan in a sec, but here's... Oh, no, hold on. It cut back to them.
No, don't worry, it's not that upsetting thing yet. Here it is.
Here it is. Hello, Greedo. So, we're watching the originals, so everyone else who has the special editions that might be watching along with us is going to see something slightly different than what we're going to see.
And they might be a little behind us too.
They might be a little behind us too, yeah. He's talking to Greedo right now in our version, so... Matt, I don't get it. It's another reason why I think that George Lucas doesn't understand Star Wars. There's a funny joke here. I just want to witness Han Solo shooting first, because that's always happened, and that's always what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Because he's set up as this rogue
Ruthless,
kind of,
Mm-hmm.
guy who doesn't play by the rules. Boom. He shot him, everybody. Half of his CGI body didn't jerk out of the way while he dodged a laser blast at point blank range.
Yeah.
No, that didn't happen.
And I don't know. I mean, obviously.
And look at him, just like slowly walking away like a badass.
Mm-hmm. And the lead into that great action one-liner. I bet you have.
Yeah. Yes, I bet you have. Shoot.
Yeah, and also I just realized he's not even in the shot.
Nope.
When Greedo gets shot.
Nope.
It's just Greedo's body.
It's just Greedo's body exploding.
Yeah, kind of a really cheesy practical effect, but I love it. And so they had to take another shot of him actually in that.
Yep.
I don't know how they did that. I don't know a ton about film editing, but
it
seems like a lot of extra trouble.
Yeah.
For not like bunch of this. Why? I don't get it.
Let's just move on. It's gonna make me angry.
Yeah.
Back to Obi-Wan.
They're looking for the droids.
They're looking for the droids. I love old characters who are just like super wise and experienced and badass at what they do. I keep saying badass, but it's a very useful word.
Adjective.
But like people who can take the young kids to school sometimes and show you how it's really done. And Obi-Wan is built up as that, and I love how little we get to know about him and his past, because that just builds him up to where our imaginations can be like, well, what did he do? Like, what did he do to know how to haggle so well? Or what, just like, it makes a character more compelling.
Right.
To give them a little bit.
Definitely more intrigue.
Yeah.
Leave them guessing,
And that's why the end of his lightsaber duel with Darth Vader ends in the most awesome way possible.
Right.
And we'll talk about it when we get there, but I love old characters like that.
Mm-hmm. There's that scar. I must say, there's some, as far as themes and motifs in this film, friendship is so important in this film. Like, there's so many multi-layered relationships, and it's really great. It's really great.
And what's great about it is that we see the friendships grow, and it happens naturally, and we believe it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's mostly due to not only the chemistry that they had, especially with Mark Hamill and Harrison Ford, but also their performances, too.
I love Anthony Daniels' performance in this movie. I'll laugh my ass off all the time at C-3PO.
Yep.
I just love it.
Which I always, that character...
That anteater thing?
That anteater thing, I always remembered him as Elephant Man. Because he looks like he has an elephant trunk.
Oh, there's that Imperial...
that Imperial aim
that precise aim.
Which those who are not watching, their Stormtroopers are shooting at the Millennium Falcon as they're about to leave.
Mm-hmm.
See, it looked fine to me, that takeoff.
Yeah, it's really not that bad.
And that's this shot too. It still looks great.
Yeah. It's really not an issue.
No. And sometimes...
Again, I think that's just kind of like underestimating your audience. Again, I know some people be nitpicky and stuff, and I kind of take issue with that, even with like an effect like that. But to me, it's just like, it's a film. Suspend your disbelief for a second.
Yeah.
I'm going to anger a lot of people.
But like...
Defending
old
prequels
movies,
as canon. And
older movies like this have some kind of like a charm to them where they stand as a product of their time.
Mm-hmm.
Some movies are made to be timeless, which this movie is, but
Right.
it also stands as like, you know, you kind of watch a movie with a dual consciousness, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you watch it as it's timeless as it was intended to be filmed to be, but you also see it as a product of what they could do with special effects in 1977. And it just stands as like, wow, they did a great job. And it's more impressive that they got this stuff done because it was all practical. It was like it had to be, you know, specialty. What am I trying to say? Specially built rigs.
There you go.
And as precise timing.
Yeah, especially
and
you
camera
can tell
angles.
like in this one the Millennium Falcon's shaking. You know, they're like just sitting in a little bus.
Yeah, they're sitting and just shaking, but it's got a charm to it. You know,
it does. It does.
Which, by the way, I've always wanted to know how the Death Star moves itself. Like, it's just a freaking ball. Like, how does it move?
Physicist.
So, that's the definition of nitpicking right there. But anyway.
Muddled accent.
Yep.
Round 2. It's okay, Carrie Fisher. We love you.
Also, he just said he had a hard time giving the command to end her life, but what was the needle thing about? Like, nothing happened to her.
I think it was like torture, like talk.
Yeah. The
And
Darth
she
Vader's
didn't.
like, I'll just take you to Tarkin.
I guess like she didn't talk, you know? We'll never know though. I do really like the Tarkin character though.
I do too.
Underrated character.
Yeah.
Team Tarkin.
You know what he kind of reminds me of? Especially his facial features. He reminds me of Terrence Stamp.
Yeah, a little bit. Like a little emaciated
Yeah.
Terrence.
I mean, it helps that he's British.
Yeah.
And old.
Kneel before Zod.
Which, by the way, I want to do those someday too. The
Oh,
original
yeah.
Superman movies.
We'll get there. We'll do our trilogies.
Yeah. No, I don't want to do Superman 3. Why would I want to do that?
Oh, come on. That's a crowning achievement. But anyways, here comes that shot.
They pronounce it as Dantooine.
Yeah, no, they do that. They do that a lot. And I'm not sure, because I may screw up, because I don't know if that's even a separate thing. I don't want to be wrong, but usually I always thought, like, why do they pronounce it differently every time? But yeah, it is just... And there's nothing really wrong with that explosion either.
No.
Oh, this is so heartbreaking
Yeah.
too.
This is a famous meme here. Yeah. For those not watching, it's Obi-Wan when he said that he felt a great disturbance, like 1,000 people, or 1,000,000 people crying out for help and then suddenly silenced.
Yeah. He's so cocky and brash. It's so great. And it's such a contrast for, like, he's a little more cynical and cocky, and Luke's ambitious and naive.
Yeah.
And it's a great foil.
And they both have so much room to grow.
It's a great foil.
And I love... It is a great foil. But it also just, like, gives you some perspective, like, where they start and then where they end by the end of the trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
And with Han Solo, definitely by the end of Empire, too.
Yeah. Well, Empire's just a whole
Empire's
nother
just
story.
great.
Yeah. Anthony Tennant.
I love Chewbacca's reaction.
The lean back.
Is it? Yeah.
Lean back. Let the Wookiee win. Yeah. There's like... It's a little natural lull in the movie, but it's like a calm before the storm.
Yeah.
And this is important in establishing a lot for later, this training scene.
Yeah. But then again, it's like, they fucking ripped this off in the prequels.
Mm.
But I won't talk about that. We're done talking about the prequels.
We may not be. But we'll see what
well,
happens. Let's try not to, though.
Yeah. But it does a good job not only like establishing Luke's idea about a force or something like that, but it also explains something about Han Solo's character.
Yeah.
He's not one of the guy who, super cynical and doesn't believe in anything else controlling his actions except him.
Mm-hmm.
And that is a very Han Solo thing.
Yeah, he's the master of his own fate.
Yeah. To him, it's all nonsense. I mean, as of right now, it's all nonsense. But it's like using this time to not only establish Jedi training, but to establish characters.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Definitely. There's a lot happening in this scene.
Yeah.
For sure. There's a lot of foreshadowing. There's a lot of character establishment and relationship establishment.
Yeah.
And conflict, really, between the character.
And by the way, it's just something small, but I love it's just charming to see like the way they did lightsaber effects back here, because it's really, really well edited, but you can still kind of see the jump cuts between the time he hits the button to the time the lightsaber pops up.
Right.
And most of the time, the sound effects for the lightsaber coming in and out are off screen.
Yeah, like little Foley stuff. God,
every quote he has is just so good.
See, Tarkin's like such a CEO, you know?
Yeah. And Darth Vader's like the employee of the month.
I'm just imagining like a portrait, like a plaque, like Darth Vader has in his like little space cabin.
In his little bubble.
Just so proud.
In his little breathing bubble.
Yeah. His little bubble.
Chewbacca has so many good quotes.
Honestly.
Yeah.
It is Alderaan.
Yeah.
That's just bad. It's
just,
like,
yeah.
Yeah, it just shows the power and just like how ruthless the Empire is.
And it establishes like, we come into this universe, we don't know what kind of power it is, and we see some blown up planets, we don't know if that's just like, oh yeah, that's something that happens all the time. But see, like, spending time with these characters and getting to know, like, no, there's nothing that powerful. It's just like, oh, well, shit. Like,
yeah. And again, I think it goes back. I don't know if I'm looking into it, reading into it, but at least what you can take from it, I think, is definitely an element of class that you don't know what your government is up to at a certain time. You know, there's a lot of seedy stuff happening in the background, like people like that are less advantaged, aren't as aware of things. That there's a lot of themes of oppression, even socioeconomic, I would say, in this film.
And the classic, good versus evil,
of course.
Rebels versus, the oppressing force.
Right.
Ever since 1984, there's always been stories that have been based off of that or inspired by it. But wait, when was 1984 made? Orwell?
I totally thought you meant the actual real year. I was like, dude, it's been around forever.
When was 1984 written?
I couldn't tell you, honestly.
I would say before 77. That's just my guess.
But I would say that whole rebellion thing's been around even longer than that.
Oh, yeah, probably. What's admirable about this movie is that there's a couple of scenes, especially the trash compactor scene, where, scenes that are like a couple of minutes long, but do nothing really to further the plot or the story.
Right.
But you don't care because it's still great.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, excuse me. And I think in space epics like this, or just epics like this, there's a lot of that stuff that's needed to be there, though.
Yeah.
Because it just adds a little more intrigue. And, like, it's a fun film.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely when they made this, I doubt they were thinking too into high art a little bit. How we were trying to extract themes and things. Yeah. Probably they weren't thinking people would use
this simple story
for analysis, yeah. But it's just a fun film.
Yeah.
It's fun. So
and it works like a trilogy should work.
Yeah, definitely.
It gets more complex as the story goes on. And we'll get into this as we take tours around the Death Star. For those not watching, the Millennium Falcon just got captured by the Death Star. Apparently, in this universe, railings haven't been invented yet. There are no railings in the Death Star at all. Especially like when Obi-Wan is walking around, turning off the tractor beam.
Oh, right.
And he's scooting around the edge. Like, who built that to have the levers of the tractor beam where you have to get on a platform and scoot around hoping you don't fall to your death? Like,
I know.
it's such weird, like, what do you call it?
Architecture?
Yeah. I love this quote by Obi-Wan coming up.
Trope.
Yeah. But this quote by Obi-Wan coming up is one of my favorites that he says.
Great quote.
There's one here.
Fool the one who follows. Yeah.
Great quote.
Really great quote.
Not one that's really quoted from this movie. I don't hear that often.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. I love that quote. I always think about that quote.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, I know I said I wouldn't bring up the prequels again, but there's no evidence in this movie that would suggest that these fucking things are clones.
Well, yeah. And we'll even say that because they're trying to get recruits at the beginning of the film.
Yeah.
They mention recruits, I think, in this film, right?
Well, I guess so, but still.
Yeah. So they're obviously not
That's just
clones.
a dumb idea.
They're obviously
like,
not clones at this point.
That's such a 70s haircut right there. Those are sideburns.
Yeah.
Which, by the way...
Hi.
It's not working.
Everything's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's kind of obvious. The guy jumped when he got hit.
In the opposite way of the blast. That's okay, though. Yeah, this movie is great for character study, especially Han Solo's like, yeah, I don't care, I don't sneak around, I go full force, and like, not really thinking things through. He kind of has a death wish a little bit.
A little bit, yeah. It has such great sets, like especially the Death Star set. Death Star set is one of my favorite sets. Just like
it's a great set.
All practically built. It looks lived. This universe looks really lived in. You know?
Yeah, definitely.
It has that gritty kind of real feeling to it, even though it's so otherworldly.
Worldly, yeah. It's a very nice set design, and this was spectacular.
Yeah, especially the Death Star set.
Just fantastic.
Another great quote.
Full of great quotes. Now, coming up, this rescue
is awesome.
Is amazing. Yeah. No,
period. That's all I wanted to say.
That's it. End of discussion. End of
insightful quote.
I mean, but with a film like this, sometimes you don't need more than that. Like, it's hard to think of anything. Just like, yeah, this is awesome.
This right here, this is great.
You know, sometimes
it's the thing coming after this, that's great too.
Yeah. This movie's pretty great. We probably could open with that. So, this is our podcast of Star Wars.
It's pretty great.
Great.
All right, we'll see you next time.
Yeah. But what I was gonna say is that, especially the Han and Leia arc, is so great in this rescue.
Oh yeah,
coming up.
Mm-hmm.
But even so, I think I'm jumping the gun a little bit. That's a while.
I love this scene too. I love the scene. I love the next scene. I love the scene before it.
I think it's really odd that Han Solo wants to listen to Obi-Wan.
To listen to Obi-Wan?
Yeah, because he was like, the old man's told us to wait here.
Well, it's because what he... Well...
Yeah, and then he's like... And earlier he was like, good, I prefer that to all the sneaking around. He's like, come on, let's go. And he's like, you want to just get shot by everybody? It like kind of shows how he... No, it's... I don't even think of it as an inconsistency, even though it might have been, but it's also kind of nice because it shows that, like, he can back it up, but also he's a little bit of talk, too, you know?
Yeah. And I love this thing that Luke does. Like, oh yeah, you'll get paid. It's like, oh.
It's like, oh,
right.
Money? Okay, I guess it's worth it.
Yeah.
Luke is just so sweet.
Yeah. Which, that's Mark Hamill, too.
Yeah.
Like, I've seen him in a bunch of interviews. Yeah. He seems like the coolest guy on the planet. I just, the Schmoes Know just came out with their Schmoes Know movie show, and they got a chance to interview Mark Hamill. Mm-hmm. And, by the way, I like to say that because not only do I like the Schmoes, but the Schmoes are subscribed to me, so in case they're watching this, hey guys, you're awesome. But, shameless plug
Pandering.
there. Yeah, I know. But anyway, I do watch it, and I'm really happy that they got the chance to interview Mark Hamill. And they were talking to him for like 20 or so minutes, and he was just the coolest dude when they were interviewing him. And there was a funny thing, by the way, no railings. What happens if you fall down that?
A little bit of railing.
No, there's no railing.
Isn't that a railing?
Oh, no, there is. Oh, no. Okay, fine. No, that's my mistake.
There's one railing. The one railing. They're like, hey, should we think about safety? No, it doesn't look as cool. They like stopped like 8th of the way through. But and this like little joke is so great. It's so classic, kind of. It's such a trope. The switching of the little switcheroo and like stealing the uniforms and stuff.
Yeah. But there was a time or a part of the interview when they were talking about canon and whether or not Mark Hamill uses the stuff that's canon to influence where the character is now, because there's stuff that's been written after Jedi that is now officially canon. And Mark Hamill's like, well, wait, what's canon and what's not canon, or something along those lines. And one of the schmoes was like telling him, listing everything that was canon and what's not canon. And Mark Hamill didn't know it. Didn't know what was canon, what wasn't canon.
That's hilarious. I mean, like, sometimes, like, your best resource is just your script.
Yeah.
And you can do as much outside research as you want, but...
Which, you know the 1138, right?
More spacism. Wait, what?
He said cell block 1138. Do you know the 1138? THX 1138. Yeah. There's so many like little nods to
his
that
other stuff,
in Lucas's movies.
Yeah.
His sound company or whatever is THX.
THX, yeah.
Which there's a little thing that no one. Oh, by the way, how many freaking cameras are in this room?
Yeah.
I think I've counted before. It's like 13 or something like that.
Oh my god.
Like there's a lot of cameras that they shoot in this scene.
Mm-hmm. Oh wow, these Imperial Stormtroopers are super precise. Oh wait.
Oh.
No.
I love this thing that Harrison Ford does. I love his little banter.
He has the character down, so it's hilarious.
Yeah. How are you?
So great. And his reaction to he's like, that sucked.
Yeah. It was a dumb conversation anyway. I love it. He plays it perfectly too. This scene is there's no cuts. It's just this whole thing.
We're going to have company. It's just like that part was a nice little dose of comedy.
Yeah. And but usually C-3PO is the comic relief, but these characters are just so fun that you can sometimes have them do comedic things and it doesn't seem out of character.
Yeah. And honestly, no, they don't have to say funny things either. It's just like
their personality.
Yeah, it's just the truth of the situation.
Yeah.
Comedy is just a natural thing. I just think it's so funny how in the original trilogy they have names like Ben and Luke.
Yeah.
And then it's like Qui-Gon Jinn,
Yeah.
Kiadi Mundi.
Well, we know that his Jedi name is Obi-Wan.
Yeah, but still, Luke. Han's not that bad. Leia.
Yeah. Anakin. They say Anakin in the original trilogy.
Yeah.
I find, like, in my opinion, the duel that's about to come up between Vader and Obi-Wan is more entertaining and more... It has more weight to it than any fight that happened in the prequels. That's my opinion. That's my opinion.
I think it's a great fight, especially like from like traditional film like battles, and especially for the setup because it's obviously the original, so you gotta give props to the original.
Mm-hmm. And it was completely saved in the editing room.
Yeah.
Like, it looked horrible when you see the test footage
Yeah.
or the stock footage from it. It's all on YouTube. Just like, they're from like static angles, and you see like Alec Guinness awkwardly like twirling when he spins around. It's like, oh, it looks horrible.
Yeah, it's just, oh man. But I would say it probably has more weight than some of the other ones. I don't know about more entertaining though.
I mean, at least there's more happening, you know?
Oh,
I mean, that's what
maybe.
these lightsaber duel, every single lightsaber duel in the original trilogy wasn't about them swinging light sticks at each other. It was more about like the whatever conflict that the two characters were going through at that time, you know? And it only takes a little bit of setup here. We barely know anything about Darth Vader. We know a little bit about Obi-Wan. And right before they duel, Darth Vader's like, you know, I was but the learner, now I am the master. Like, holy shit. Obi-Wan trained Darth Vader. Now this is interesting. Yeah. It only takes that little bit of dialogue to set up like, oh shit, now it's the master fighting his young. This has automatically become more interesting.
Yeah, it really is interesting. I'll give it that. And also, but this in this scene, one, I was loving the banter that was happening between Han and Leia, but also Leia really establishes herself from being this entire movie as the captive.
Yeah,
princess,
the damsel in distress.
So really, like, I can handle myself, you know?
Yeah, she was never the damsel in distress type of character.
Which is great, refreshing, even for, like, now.
Yeah.
And that's very much like Hidden Fortress as well, too. This trash compactor scene.
And it's one of the most famous scenes in the movie, and it's really like nothing of, you know, story importance is happening.
Yeah. Well, you know what it reminds me of too, this scene, and how it's set up and just how it's shot and how it looks with the practical effects again. It reminds me of the fire swamp in Princess Bride. I mentioned Princess Bride earlier.
Yeah.
But yeah. You know, it looks like fun to be. I mean, they played the truth of the horror, but also I feel like they had fun with it.
Yeah. There's another funny Family Guy thing where if you've seen Family Guy, you'll get this joke, and if you haven't, you won't. But their parody was this little snake thing. When it popped its head up, it was Meg, and then it
that's
slipped
right.
back down. There's the.
I remember that. I saw that one. Oh, so gross.
Yeah. Also, like, this happens in a lot of cartoons, too. Like, why does every trash thing or every dumpster have water in it? Like, I don't understand that.
No.
Or I guess this is a trash compactor and a sewage thing.
Yeah.
In which case, that's more gross than I thought it was.
Yeah.
This is a good little dramatic pause.
Yeah,
here.
I was gonna say it's really tense.
Like, there's a couple of cuts where like no one moves.
Right.
Like they're.
It's just Leia and Han.
Yeah.
And then he pops up and he's alive. Thank God.
Yeah. And there's a really funny payoff too when they finally stop the compactor.
Yeah.
That's a trope in Star Wars.
Oh,
some character
someone
always has
says
a bad
that all
feeling
the
about
time.
this. Yeah. This scene, when I was a kid, this scene freaked me out.
Yeah.
Not the snake or anything, but this.
No, the fact that he like just crushed.
Yeah. Which, by the way, for the effects, Chewie, when he's pushing at the door, he kind of stops it for a second. I forget which cut it is, but you can see it, and he actually stops it. Just for a second.
Peter Mayhew's too strong.
Yeah. I don't know if we already missed it, but there's a scene where he stops it.
This, especially when they put the board in between and you like see it slowly bending,
Yeah.
it's like, oh, God.
And plus, I'm claustrophobic, and I was more afraid of... Oh, wait, here's the bump. Did you see it?
Yeah. Then he hits his head.
Which, that is something that I actually like about the special editions. Because George Lucas added a little sound effect. Like a little, like, plunk. That's good. I like that.
That's hilarious.
Just the little things that Anthony
Daniels
Daniels does. Just like that. Ooh.
He's so great. We never see him, but he's just is that character.
Yeah.
So neurotic. What a neurotic droid.
See, look.
Oh, there.
He stops it. He stops it.
He's like
just a little bit, just like when he's pushing against it, he stops it.
Like, oops. I mean, oh no. Oh, jeez.
I know.
It's just really tense. And, like, especially with the time cuts and stuff, it feels like so much time goes by and you're like, they're dying.
But that always happens in movies. Like, the editing just kind of...
Yeah.
Especially when they film explosions. Like, they'll film it from, like, 5 or 6 different angles, and the explosion goes on for, like, 20 seconds. Yeah. It's like, stop talking and turn it on.
It's like, yes, we get you forgot. Hurry.
Yes, we get you forgot. No, turn it on.
Man, but, like, honestly, even with the time jump, no, like, it works enough so it's, like, kind of reasonable.
Yeah.
Like, it's not too inconsistent, but...
No, I don't think so.
Ooh, jeez. Man, I forget how close they get.
Yeah, it gets really close. Oh, that's a good angle. Mm-hmm. Just like the door kind of like inching over the frame.
Yeah. They play this so well too.
Yeah.
They're dying on it. Definitely one of my favorite characters in this trilogy.
Oh yeah.
3PO is hilarious. Okay.
Here it comes. Which, by the way, there's a right when Obi-Wan ignites his saber, it's really obvious.
But actually, we forgot about this is the scene where he turns it off first.
Oh yeah. Oh, we're not there yet. My bad.
Yeah, I know. We jumped.
Which I always forget. We're more than halfway through the movie right now.
Yeah.
Boy, that's a great map painting right there.
Yeah. Really though.
Yeah.
Until you said something, honestly, I completely didn't even tell.
Yeah.
That is, wow, that was a really good effect.
Who would design something like this to where you have to inch around this?
Well, I guess they never thought after they built it that they'd have to do it again. So maybe they thought, the harder to get to, the better.
I guess.
But who knows? We'll never know.
Yeah.
I love the design of these old blasters, too.
Yeah, they're so iconic.
Such a badass.
Mm-hmm.
They'll hear, and... Their relationship is so great.
Yeah. By the way, no British accent.
Yeah.
I don't care who you are.
Tarkin shows up. I don't care who you are. Just leave me alone. It's okay. We forgive her.
No, yeah, it's fine. It's really hard to notice unless you know it and you're paying attention.
Yeah. It really is. It's one of those things that probably just like when you're watching the film and you're wrapped up in it.
Yeah.
You wouldn't really notice. Wow, that is such a nice backdrop.
Yeah.
You can't even tell. I thought that was like a practical set.
I love this. Just like he just points. I love it. It's so small. I love it.
Right, and it's like so, yeah. It's so the character, you know, just simple.
Yeah.
Just like very smart though.
Mm-hmm.
And it added a whole mysticism to the Force too.
Yeah. Which I've always, like, people know that I love Star Wars and they'll ask me, like, when J.J. Abrams was announced, like, oh, what do you think of J.J. Abrams directing Star Wars? My answer was always, I will take lens flares over midichlorians every day of the week and twice on Sunday.
Oh my gosh. Midichlorian. God. Oh well. But this is hilarious.
Yeah, it is.
Han Solo running down the hall. I love how they chose now to turn around though. Like,
I think they regrouped or something, or there was more down the hall.
yeah.
I guess that was always my impression. And this is another one of the most famous scenes.
Yeah. It's a... Oh, wow. This breach is so cool.
I still, like, the only thing we can do with this movie is nitpick. But, like, what reason would they have to build a bridge that could be dropped like that? Like, what purpose would that serve?
It's not even even.
It's not even?
Yeah. Look at the other end of the bridge. Or maybe I'm wrong. Hold on. Like, does
Well,
it go down in
sure.
a diagonal?
No. That's another one up top. There's one right in front of him that's on the same level.
Oh, I missed that. See, my bad.
Yeah, that one's up top. Like, on
The
some
one
other
they
level.
swing to is the same level.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, there it is. Which, by the way, another matte painting. It looks great.
Yeah, it does look really great. Wow. You know, all these years I never noticed that.
So
Mark
famous.
Hamill has Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
This is his test footage. Yeah. It's just like everything gets so heightened. The
Yeah.
energy really picks it up in the film here.
And the editing and the pacing picks up too.
Yeah.
And you know George Lucas's classic direction, right? The quote that he always had?
What?
Stronger, faster, more intense.
Oh, yeah.
Or something faster, more intense. I might have gotten the first word wrong, but yeah. So here's the duel.
Yeah.
But the famous, like, you can see obviously that Alec Guinness is holding the lightsaber, like, toward the camera, and then he moves his wrist to make it look like it's igniting.
Yeah.
It's really subtle.
It
You have
is.
to really pay attention.
It is.
It's
It's
good,
interesting.
but it's like,
Ugh.
See, now
Such a
it's
good
not
line.
it's not just two old guys swinging swords at each other. It's now it's become like a personal, like, internal battle as much as it is.
Well, I would argue the only one that's not that much of a personal battle in the prequels. I know, I'm sorry, I keep on...
Darth Maul.
Yeah. That's the only one that's not that personal.
What about Christopher Lee's battle? They didn't know who the fuck he was until they
Oh, that's true.
put their swords in him.
But then there's that. That is really, I feel like, just an intro to the Yoda one, which I know people take issue with that, but I'm just saying that as far as a personal battle, I feel like at least they had some personal intrigue for the most part.
I just think these have so much more going on.
They do.
And I think it might have just been because, you know, they didn't want to pay the special effects, so they used their lightsabers very sparingly.
Right.
Which I think helped because now every time they take their lightsabers out, especially Luke, it's like, oh, now it's getting serious. Now they mean business,
Right.
you know? And every time they would have a fight, it's always more about... I just keep repeating myself, but it's true. It's like, it's always more about the internal battle.
It is. It usually is more about the internal battle.
And it gives more stakes. It makes the fight more entertaining.
Does. I know. You're probably gonna, I know. Here's the bad thing. Regardless of acting, which was portrayed horribly, but that fight for the last one, that had probably the most personal stakes, except for the one in Jedi, I would say.
Yeah, but it didn't need to be an hour long.
No, it didn't. But as a fan of action choreography.
Yeah.
And what they could do, I think it could have been I don't mind the length, honestly.
But then it just looks over choreographed in my opinion.
I just think
looks more like a dance than it does.
Yeah, but the one issue, well, it is. That's what most choreography is. Well, just the.
By the way, best moment in the whole movie, in my opinion. This right here.
He's
This is what I was talking about the wise thing that I always love. Just contemplative, what would be the most... And he even says it, strike me down and I will become more powerful than you could ever imagine. It's no, this is the best scenario. I'm smarter than you.
Yeah.
It's awesome. I love it. I love Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Obi-Wan's great.
I watched his lightsaber. He had the stick, but it was just white. Mm-hmm. That was probably fixed in the special edition, but... In the classics, Darth Vader's lightsaber, you saw the stick and there was no effect of the red saber.
This is a great escape, too.
Oh, yeah.
It's just they took every great thing about every kind of fun action fantasy genre and put it in a new context that audiences had never seen him before.
Mm-hmm.
It's Mark Hamill does play this part really well.
He does. There are some parts where...
There's that old movie cliche. Whenever someone experiences something traumatic, there's always the blanket.
Yeah.
That always fixes everything.
It's no, it's fucking hot in here. What are you doing?
I mean, I don't mind movie cliches, but I like pointing them out.
Yeah. Which I just realized that Phantom Menace rips off this scene. With little... What's his face? The little annoying kid.
Remember. His Jake Lloyd?
Yeah, that's what it is. Jingle All the Way kid.
Poor kid. I do feel bad for him. He's a kid. Kids aren't meant to be thespians.
I know, but there's a lot of kids that were better than him. But anyway, no, that's not gonna... Yep. Ruining a great scene.
Yeah, so this scene is just fantastic. This whole space battle.
Oh, yeah.
With these two guns. And again, establishing the relationship with Han and Luke.
Yeah. It's an action scene, but there's also stuff going on, which, is always a good thing. And again, I mean, these are 1977 effects. They look great still. I mean, of course, they look a little dated, but most of the stuff looks great.
Honestly, it really doesn't look that dated. I mean, I know it's... yes, a little bit, but not that bad. Honestly, this whole scene where the...
No, it looks
great.
The
TIE fighters going around the Millennium Falcon like that.
And the backdrops look fine.
Yeah. There's another moment there, too, about Han being talk and bravado, but having also, a pragmatic sense of reality. Like how I was talking about it earlier in the Death Star, where he's like, don't worry, she'll hold together. He's like, come on, baby, hold together.
Yeah.
He
acts confident, but in reality...
he has kind of a put-on.
Yeah. Puts on an act.
Yeah.
I love it. Don't get cocky.
Such a great line. And Mark Hamill plays this really well, too, with the truth of the stakes, but also, again, the wide-eyed excitement, I'm finally here.
Yeah. Which, for 1977, just imagine being in a movie theater in the summer of 77 and seeing this on the screen.
Just, what blows your mind?
Yeah. still looks great.
It still looks great.
Which a little subtle thing I like is that, like, Darth Vader's helmet, because we're watching Vader and Tarkin on scene right now. Vader's helmet is so, like, iconic and classic, but all of his little, not employees, but, like, what do you call it? Workers, or whatever. Generals.
Cohorts.
Cohorts, there we go. Yeah, I like that word, cohorts.
That's a good word.
Their helmets are designed like the backdrop of Darth Vader's helmet. Like the guys with the black helmets, like it's a bigger
like
size.
The technicians. Like
the technicians, yeah. But it's not like Darth Vader's mask. It's his like the backdrop of the top of his head and the back of his head, and they never really address it. But it's a nice little.
It is a nice little thing. This is another great scene with Han and Leia. Setting up, it was the money thing, how his ulterior motives, but you can tell that again. Another put on is like, she's kind of cute.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pretend that I'm hearted and only care about money.
Yeah.
But she's cool, I guess. It's that macho. It's that that whole machismo kind of thing, but the softer, sensitive Han Solo. And this tension.
Yeah. They played that scene perfectly.
And it's hilarious because he finally opens up to him.
Yeah. Yeah.
But he shakes it off too. He's not like he like laughs it off. But we finally get a little glimpse of like Han Solo's actual emotions.
Yeah.
And then he's
just
like,
a little
fuck
bit.
You.
Just a little bit.
Yeah, the tiniest. Just enough.
And, for those not watching, where we're at now is they just got to the Rebel base.
Yeah. They're in the hangar bay.
Yeah.
Accent gone.
Hmm?
Accent gone.
Oh, yeah.
So.
I think it's gone for good.
Yeah, I think after that point.
Yeah.
They must have shot those other ones first.
Which, by the way, this design of the Death Star that's in R2-D2, that design is not the final design of the Death Star. That was the original design. You can see that the laser thing is centered on the Death Star when the real thing, the laser, is like up towards the top. What that digital thing showed from R2-D2's internal thing, that was the original design of the Death Star.
The blueprint, right?
Yeah. But no, like the original artistic design.
Right. Like kind of concept art.
Yeah, concept art. There we go. Have you ever had a problem with this? The way they destroy the Death Star? Because I've never had a problem with it.
Oh, people think that's
people just like, oh, this is one of the biggest plot holes in movie history. It's like, what? It's not even that big of a
plot hole.
Because it's like, oh, this super powerful Death Star that's the biggest power on the planet can be destroyed by shooting 2 photons into a hole.
I've never had a problem with that.
I mean,
just like this big warrior
it's an
Achilles.
Exhaust port.
Just like this big warrior Achilles could be taken out just by like a little arrow in his heel. Like, that's an important thing because then there's no conflict. If something's so strong that it can't be beaten, then there's no movie.
Exactly.
Then you have to put a weakness in there. I mean, I guess you could have come up with something crazier to do, but I think they did it well. And especially since
they said it's an exhaust port that if fired perfectly will set off a chain reaction.
Yeah, and it says perfectly. They emphasize how hard it is and how difficult it is. It's just this tiny little opening.
Yeah.
See, it's impossible. They even said.
I've never had a problem with it.
It's never bothered me. I'm surprised that it bothers people. But
the finding of plot holes is the most talked about thing with movies nowadays.
Right. But that's not even a plot hole.
It's not.
That's just like nitpicky.
Yeah.
But anyways.
Which plot holes to me, like, really don't matter in the long run, because I really don't care as long as, you know, the story's interesting and the characters are interesting and the theme. Like, themes and characters and story are more important to me than something that doesn't make sense in the plot.
Right, yeah. And that's not something that's so devastating to the plot.
It's not at all.
No. This is a great setup, though. This exchange. Because even Harrison Ford, like, extends something to... Or Han Solo, I guess. Extends something to Luke. He's like, come with me. You don't need this, you know? Because you can tell they made a connection, but also he doesn't want to stick his neck out for anybody.
Yeah.
He kind of reminds me of Rick from Casablanca.
You're going to have to remind me who...
That's the Bogart character.
Ah, gotcha.
Yeah. He, like, spends the whole movie like, I don't stick my neck out for anybody. But then at the end, he ends up doing the right thing.
Yeah. That's a good moment.
Mm-hmm. Ah! Because he...
And he sounded sincere about it, too.
Yeah, he did. And he allowed...
It's like, I kind of made friends with this guy, and now I'm leaving.
It's like, and even if he doesn't necessarily believe it, he cares enough about this person.
He cares enough about it, and he knows what it means to him.
Exactly. Tons of tolerance. Like, an understanding and empathy.
Yeah.
And mostly respect.
Yeah, it's just, it's hard, like, at this point in the movie, it's hard to talk about it and not just, you know, watch it. Just because it's so good.
Yeah. I know. Oh, wow. We've had a bit of a silence just getting wrapped up in the...
Little bit.
Oh, my bad.
It was a good scene.
It was a good scene. Even the relationship between Luke and R2 is so great.
Yeah.
That's where I think definitely. I mean, obviously the trilogies are a superior trilogy. The original trilogies are a superior trilogy to the prequels, but just like the relationships were handled so well.
Yeah. And
the plot was great, but it's really the relationships that drive this film. The characters and the relationships.
It's a character-driven movie more than a plot-driven movie.
Honestly. And it's a fun action film too, but it's the relationships at the heart of these movies. Like that's why, like, you know, you can feel for the characters, and that's why it's so timeless. I think, because a lot of movies that are like just action, you know, space movies. You like
just watch it for the explosions.
Yeah, exactly, and then you kind of forget about it. But you actually care about these characters, and you care about the relationships.
You made The Rock. It's great. Now stop.
Oh my gosh.
It was a reused piece of dialogue.
Mm.
I think both those things were reused. Just like...
Use your feeling and stuff?
No, it was like a...
You mean
the force will be with you. And I think they just took that from when he said it at the Death Star and then added some echo.
Mm-hmm, I think so.
Which is fine. It's
That's
just like...
Yeah. Because then I think right there it's almost like a flashback rather than him actually talking to him like it is in the Death Star. But you never know.
There's a funny thing in the Plinkett where it's just like, these are all white guys.
Oh my gosh! I was just thinking that. I didn't know that, but I was about to say something about that. But I didn't want to be that guy. Yeah. Because I figured.
Yeah. I mean, it's fine. I mean, like, he made a funny thing where it's just like, in the later movies, we got the first Asian pilot who died. Yeah. And then the first black pilot who also died.
Yeah, no, but that's what I'm saying. Like, I was just thinking, like, I was like, they don't even have, like, not even a minority to kill off in this one.
No. I mean, but they got one of the coolest black guys in history to play Lando Calrissian, so...
Oh my gosh, Billy D.
Honestly, he's one of the coolest characters ever.
This whole sequence...
This looks great. It really does. But just, I have more of an appreciation watching these classic effects than I do the CGI, because I know how much work... Because you can tell that That's just a camera moving along a miniature
Yeah.
of stuff exploding that was like perfectly timed, and they had cameras on rigs and stuff like that.
Those take so much effort.
It does, and it looks good too.
It does look really good. And yeah, what I love is how, you know, the Tarkin relationship, it's like the bureaucrat and the muscle.
Yeah.
How we talked
like
about
Darth
earlier.
Vader actually gets in his ship
he's
and
like,
goes.
I'm gonna get my hands dirty.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm an enforcer. I don't just stand back and make the big decisions. I enforce those decisions.
Yeah.
I'm the enforcer. That's a better word than the muscle, I think. He's an enforcer.
I haven't seen Inglourious Bastards, but I've heard a lot of people compare him to the Jew Hunter.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Maybe a little bit.
Yeah. I don't remember. I saw Inglourious Bastard a long time ago, so I can't remember.
I think it's just the way Christoph plays it was more jovial than stoic.
Mm-hmm.
But I can see the parallels a little bit. I can definitely see the parallels.
There's a thing that's parodied all the time. It's just like when they start using the cameras, or like the targeting cameras.
Right.
That dude is just like, stay on target. He's like, no, we're gonna try. He's like, stay on target.
So funny. I forgot in the originals they don't really establish that relationship, huh?
What?
Did they add that in a special edition? That whole Biggs dialogue, or did we just miss it?
What Biggs dialogue?
With his friend from back home. Was that a deleted scene?
Wait, what are you talking about?
Extended? Between Luke and his friend from back home before they go off to fight?
That wasn't his friend from back home. Wait, was it?
Yeah, he talks about, goes like, hey, you finally made it up here.
What do you...
That must have been in a deleted scene.
You might be right. I'm drawing a blank.
Okay, because then that is actually an addition that I liked. It added a little intrigue. I can see why they cut it out, because it wasn't like a necessary thing. It could be seen as superfluous. But I always thought that little dialogue scene was nice, and then it made more of an impact when he died. But anyways, I could be wrong. I could be totally wrong, but I'm pretty sure there's that scene. I'll have to look it up again. Have to fact check me on that.
I don't know. You're probably right. That's probably just slipped in my mind. I know that a scene they added that was cut out that should have been left out was a scene right after the Cantina scene when Han Solo meets Jabba the Hutt.
Oh yeah.
When he talks to Jabba the Hutt.
Right.
That scene's not in our version,
of course.
Which is probably why you guys are, or we're a little ahead of you. But
yeah, if you're not
that scene is
original.
completely, that should have been cut out. Because number one, the CGI looks awful, horrid. But it's like they already worked the dialogue that Han Solo says before that scene in so that they could cut that scene out. So it's like it's redundant by its own accord, and two, it kind of ruins the intrigue and the surprise of seeing Jabba the Hutt in Jedi, which is one of the greatest practical effects ever. I think anyway.
It's really good.
The animatronic of Jabba the Hutt is awesome.
It's really good. It's just really hard since I don't have enough technical knowledge. I know, like, most of the things that I usually talk about are like past tropes and like story and character, and usually like I like to focus a lot on the actors and performances. But I wish I had a more technical background to discuss more of this scene like in depth, because there's so much happening. And like how they do it, I wish I could understand film editing more to give a little more insight. Sorry if I'm like being really silent on this.
No, that's fine. It's just this was a lot of miniatures, and it was a lot
I can tell there's some miniature happening.
Yeah. And then it's a lot of like filming things on a black backdrop, and then like taking that footage and putting it back in, which is why sometimes when you see footage of TIE fighters or whatever, you'll see like a little halo of stuff around them, so you can see like the backdrop of what it was filmed at versus like the backdrop of space, you know?
Right, yeah.
Like cutouts.
Exactly.
Sometimes you can see that, which is fine. It's like it gives it kind of like a charm to it.
See, we're just getting silent. Yeah, it's coming to the point that, like, there's only 3 of them left.
I think so, yeah. They're making another run. Which could, like, you know... I I hate to bring Man of Steel up because I actually really like that movie, but, you know, compare the action finale of this to the action finale in Man of Steel. Like, there's in both movies, there's a ton of shit blown up, but, like, I think the investment of this movie is a lot more compared to Man of Steel.
Yeah.
But just, like, the differences in...
I have you now.
Yeah,
I love that line.
so iconic.
I don't think it happened yet, but it will soon.
I think he's when it's chasing Luke, yeah.
You know, because me, I guess if we start doing more of these, you'll find out that I really want to bring back, like, really just classic kind of 80s pulp action movies that, like, have, like, no substance whatsoever, that are just fun. And so I love the one-liner, and, like, I Have You Now is such an awesome action one-liner.
Yeah, I just watched Die Hard the other night, too.
Die Hard's great.
Die Hard.
We should do one for Die Hard.
Dude, I would love to do Die Hard.
Anyways, but Star Wars.
Yeah, anyway, that's the movie that we're watching right now. I mean, I wish we could talk more about what's going on, but there's just lots of shooting and explosions.
There's lots of shooting. That's what I mean. If I had more technical things to describe, I wish I could. But honestly, to me, with my limited expertise, and I think that's the best way to look at it, just as a fan, like, it doesn't affect me that much, like most of the effects in this movie, or I'm fine with. I like, even CG bothers me because it looks so fake. I think it looks so fake more.
Which is one of the reasons why, you know, I love Christopher Nolan so much, is that he only uses CGI when it's absolutely necessary, and he uses it in a way where you can't tell that it's CGI. Like, one of my favorite examples is in Batman Begins, when Bruce Wayne finally gets to the mansion of the League of Shadows, and it takes, like, a huge, like, establishing shot of the house before he knocks on the door. That house was completely CGI. Like, they were on a mountain and they were in the environment, but there was no house.
Oh wow, that's crazy. This score is really good too.
This score is
this part
amazing.
I forget about this, like, it reminds me of Max Steiner. Kind of those old, like, when he was doing films too, like, it reminds me a lot like this, like Casablanca, when stuff gets raised again, talking about Casablanca again. But Max Steiner, great film composer. I never hear his name enough.
I have never heard of him.
Exactly. You never hear of Max Steiner. Like, you hear of a lot of good composers, but he has a lot of credits on great films. I think he even did The Searchers, too.
Really?
Yeah. I thought that's another movie I talked about a lot today. But it's just, he has a lot of good credits, and I don't hear enough about him, but I can hear his influences in a lot of stuff. So, Max Steiner, there's my plug for him. Check out his body of work, because his filmography is pretty impressive.
I mean, just the score is just epic and works so well in the context of the movie itself, even though the Imperial March had not been written yet as of 1977, which is one of the best musical pieces ever written.
Yeah, definitely. Here's the part.
Here's the best, yeah. Ah, the score, too.
Let Go. Yeah, see, I don't know if Let Go was taken. I think he had to go back to
he did that,
the audio booth.
Yeah.
But see, it's so great. He decides just, you know what, nope, I can do this. Just have to feel it.
Just think, like, he has even a huge character arc at the end of this movie, as opposed to, you know, by the end of Jedi.
Yeah.
It's like, in the beginning of this movie, he was just a kid who wanted to go to college. Now, he's the last rebel about to blow up the Death Star, having had some Jedi training. Like, man.
And with his limited knowledge of the Force, just kind of adds to the whole mysticism of it. And what a powerful force it is.
The Force is a powerful
force. Yeah, I thought. The moment I said, I was like, that was so redundant.
That was redundantly redundant.
Yeah.
It's alright.
There it is. Oh.
What? I love that. I love that.
What?
There's a couple of like iconic like what's
and watch that breath.
Yeah, just like
it's a great reaction shot.
And the score.
And there goes one of my favorite movie villains.
Oh yeah.
I think the Tarkin Vader relationship is super underrated.
It is.
I feel like everyone focuses on the Emperor one because obviously.
Yeah.
But they had a good relationship in this movie.
Yeah, they did.
Like they played off each other well.
You know another stupid thing, and it's pretty much.
Sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say I'm so excited for the final frame of this interview. This is like,
oh yeah.
It just hits me in the gut every time. But go ahead.
But something that's like nitpicky even for the special editions is I don't even know why they did it, but it doesn't really matter. Which is why I don't know why they did it. But for the explosion of the Death Star, they added like that ring.
Yeah.
It's like why? What is the point?
I don't know.
It's like was it really was it really lacking a ring in the explosion? Did you need it to be a bigger explosion?
I know. I don't know why, but there it is. Here it is. And the beauty of this is, right, there's not like a closing statement or a word that anyone has to say in this
the last
entire
line's been
scene.
said. Yeah.
It's just the grandeur of it all.
And the score, too.
And the score, yeah, of course. And just like it's all three of them. Like, there's Leia.
First time we've seen her ears this whole movie.
Oh, never mind. That's the last line of the movie. There's a little bit of dialogue. Chewbacca says something. Which,
the classic joke is that, like, oh, Chewbacca doesn't get a medal because fuck Chewbacca.
He just gets to stand up there and look pretty, I guess.
And say the last line.
He's the sex symbol.
Yeah, he is.
He's just eye candy. No, but... this is so important, I think. This wink right here.
Yep.
Not a single word has to be said.
Nope.
But just... it's almost a hint to the audience of more to come.
Yeah.
Even more so than just, wink with Leia. And just... There's so much happening. Eye contact and breath, like, in, like...
It's
the
their
classical
performances.
Theater. Yeah.
It's just their
You always talk about how that importance is in establishing connection. It's like acting 101.
Yeah.
But like here you can really see the fundamentals with the truth of that. And then it's just beautiful. She smiles. They turn around and the entire crowd. Just gives you goosebumps. I'm getting goosebumps. Written and directed by George Lucas. That was really good.
That was good.
Wow, I really honestly have not seen that film in its original, because I used to have the VHS original. I don't know what happened to that. But I just haven't seen it like that in so many years. It's been a long time.
I don't think that like in regards to the special edition, just like I don't think that I could sit down and watch it and really enjoy it as much as I would the originals, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Especially this. I mean, Empire's okay. They didn't really change a lot with Empire.
Yeah, they changed that one the least.
Yeah, because that's, I even think George Lucas is just like, that one's the best. That's the one people love. I don't really want to do much to it. Mm-hmm. I don't think that I could ever sit down and watch Jedi, the special edition of Jedi. It would make me too angry.
It's really hard. Considering it's my favorite one, it's really hard.
It is. It's my favorite one too, but it's like, I don't think I could do it.
It's super hard, especially with the nose now and the Blu-rays. But anyways, it's sad. It really is sad. But
I mean, now that Lucasfilm is owned by Disney, there's actually a strong possibility that they might release the originals on Blu-ray, like the original theatrical editions.
If they ever did that.
Because why not?
I don't know. I feel like there was probably some clause.
Because Disney's huge
but-
on what the fans
I know,
want.
but like I'm sure there was something in this settlement. I feel like as long as Lucas or George is like still around in Kagan, like he's not gonna release that stuff because I feel like now he's gotten so much flack for it. He doesn't want to turn back.
Yeah, but he
But I can
hasn't
only
cared about the
speculate.
flack up until now. So why should he? He's
No, that's what I mean. I feel like he's like, oh, people are gonna complain. I'd rather not then. I know that sounds like kind of bad relationship to like antagonize your fans or whatever, but I feel like it won't. Just like the reality of the situation.
I mean, if they release the originals on Blu-ray, just Merry Christmas to the world. That would be the best day
That
ever.
would be pretty awesome. And just so many people involved on this film.
Compared to nowadays, this was small.
Is
Like
it-
you see this,
yeah.
like there are, for as many people that worked on this film, there's just as many people who
Right.
work on just the special effects in films nowadays.
But like looking at credits like just in any film, it's just crazy.
How many people it takes to make a film?
Like and like they can always say I was a part of Star Wars.
Yep.
That's amazing.
All right, guys. I think that'll do it for us. We're just watching the credits
Yeah.
now, and I don't think that there's anything more insightful.
The
that
formatting
we
of
can
these
say about
credits.
Yeah, the
Says a
subtle,
lot
the
about-
subtle off blue color. really gives a lot about the story.
Exactly.
Anyway, we'll see you guys next time for Empire and Jedi, and hopefully more of these to come. So, thank you for listening, and we'll see you guys later.
Thanks, Al.